Ladies and gentlemen, please notice that exits are conveniently located at the front and rear of this auditorium. When leaving the theater, we suggest that the exit at the front of the auditorium will allow you easier access to the parking areas. Thank you.
We've just lost 90% of our young audience out there. Who's Susan Lucci? I don't know why they're an old lady voice, but anyways.
And he'd be like, yeah, exactly. But
You can all you want. Agree to disagree.
Disney fight.
See, two dudes talking about Disney.
So many viewers. We just lost so many. Hello, I'm Mike Butler.
And I'm Mike Field.
And you are listening to the Forgotten Cinema Podcast. Each episode, we highlight a film that, for a variety of reasons, was forgotten by audiences. Whether it be because a more popular movie was released at the same time, or the film simply didn't catch on with an audience in its initial run. We'll discuss what we love about the movie, or maybe don't love about it, but we'll always recommend you revisit. If you enjoy our podcast, please feel free to rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to this podcast.
So we're doing the 1955 class. No. We're doing the Lone Ranger. Mike doesn't like it. We're going to fight. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. But before we do that, I guess, because I decided last week we're going to do the synopsis first, right? No, yes, no.
We decided we're going to fly by the seat of our pants, so sure.
We decided that? Seat of the pants it is. I'm doing the synopsis.
All right.
So we're doing the Lone Ranger from 2013, but before we do that, I'm going to tell you a little bit of what it's about. Right?
Ooh.
Here we go. John Reid is an idealistic lawyer, and he rides with his brother and fellow Texas Ranger in pursuit of the notorious Butch Cavendish. Ambushed by the outlaw and left for dead, John is rescued by a renegade Comanche, Tonto, at the insistence of a mysterious white horse, and offers to help him bring Cavendish to justice. Becoming a reluctant masked rider, the Lone Ranger, with a seemingly incomprehensible partner, Reid pursues a criminal against the obstacles. However, John and Tonto learn that Cavendish is only part of a far greater injustice, and the pair must fight in an adventure that would make them a legend. That is the Lone Ranger. And the Lone Ranger, as I said, was released in 2013, actually July 3rd, 2013, which was a Wednesday, which is a big summer movie, obviously.
Oh, yeah.
And it has a runtime of 150 minutes. It's a long one, rated PG-13. Production budget of $215 million. A lot. Its opening weekend, it did 29. Not a lot. Domestic, it did 89, and worldwide, it did 260. So it was a big flop. It's a big flop. It's actually one of the biggest financial flops of all time. Lost 94 to $120 million. So yeah, it did not perform well. Now, it was, like I said, it came out on the 3rd of July, which was a Wednesday. It came up against Despicable Me 2, which was a huge hit. And Kevin Hart, Let Me Explain, which was, we were busy with that, weren't we? Did we have that one?
Yeah, we had that one.
Yeah, we were busy with that. The 5th of July, which would be that following Friday, you had Stuck in Love and The Way, Way Back, not to be confused with Way, whatever the one that's coming out, The Way Back, with Ben Affleck when he's the basketball coach.
Yes.
Or this one is the one with Steve Carell where he's the jerk stepfather.
Yes.
Which is actually a pretty good movie. You didn't like it?
It's not really my cup of tea.
It's good. July 12th, which is the week after, you had Grown Ups 2 and Pacific Rim. So clearly, we're in the middle of summer. So you have all these big movies, all these sequels.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lot of competition. And the week before that, the 28th, you had White House Down, which is not good. And you had The Heat.
White House Down, you mean Poor Man's Olympus Has Fallen.
Correct. And you had The Heat, which you learned last week. I walked out of. So you know how I felt about that. Butler loves it.
I do not love that. I only stayed when Field walked out. I had to stay in there because our boss at the time, our boss was watching the movie intently and doesn't know how to shut down the movie.
Oh,
and so I'm sitting there watching
she hears
the movie.
This. If she
That's
watches
fine.
this episode, it listens to this episode.
She knows it's true. She's sitting in the front row just watching it. But then I find out at the end, I was like, what do you think? She goes, that was terrible. So I probably could have shut it down.
When you should know that when you asked her that, I was probably in bed sleeping. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Movie was directed by Gore Verbinski. He won the Oscar for actually, he didn't win the Oscar. Well, he did. He produced it, but for Rango won the Oscar for Best Animated Feature.
I love Rango. I almost put that on the list today. I forgot.
That's not forgotten.
No one's upset Rango anymore. There was supposed to be a Rango 2 and there's no Rango 2.
Talking about it right now.
Oh my God.
Enough.
I love Rango. I'd rather talk about Rango than Lone Ranger.
Oh, I'm going to kill you. He directed Pirates, the first Pirates, Curse of the Black Pearl. Actually, the first two, right? Did he do all three? Or
I believe he did all three.
He didn't do the fourth one.
He did not do the fourth one.
He did The Weatherman, which I like. That's the one with Nicolas Cage.
The Weatherman is good.
And he did the original, The Ring, the first The Ring. He directed that.
Which is also
people
good.
don't know. Yes. Written by Justin Haith or Haitha? Haith. I think it's Haith.
I think it is.
Mr. Haith or Justin wrote Revolutionary Road, Red Sparrow, and A Cure for Wellness, which was also directed by Verbinski.
Also way too long.
Listen,
this is how this episode.
Listen, if you're just gonna make comments like that, I'm just gonna start yelling at you, and then it's gonna turn into curse words. So knock it off. Now I think he wrote the original script, and then Ted Elliott, and Terry Rossio came on to kind of touch up or whatever they did, or however it was done. I think I wrote it down somewhere. Elliott wrote Mask of Zorro, and they both wrote Mask of Zorro, which, hey, we did that episode.
That's
Aladdin,
right.
Small Soldiers, the Pirates movie, Godzilla from 95. That's unfortunate. And Treasure Planet, amongst other things. Music by Hans Zimmer. Obviously, you heard us do the William Tell Overture. Zimmer obviously uses the overture, but he actually adds on to it.
Yes, the soundtrack is very, very good.
Yes. He won the Oscar for The Lion King. He's done Rain Man, Twister, Days of Thunder. He's done a bunch of stuff. Cinematography by Bohan Bazelli. I don't think you pronounced the J there. Pumpkinhead. Listen, he's done a lot of stuff, but I like to pick the ones that are in the past. So Pumpkinhead, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and he actually just did Underwater. But he's done a ton of stuff.
I don't like how you laughed at Pumpkinhead.
I laughed at Pumpkinhead because it's a silly name.
It's a cool monster, though.
Oh, that's fantastic.
But yes,
is it better than Lone Ranger?
He's a cool monster with an unfortunate
Is it too long?
name. It is not too long.
Yeah.
It's like a 90-minute movie.
Why don't you just shut the fuck? Produced by Jerry Bruckheimer. Verbinski produced as well. Bruckheimer. If you watched any movie in the 80s that was a big time action movie, Bruckheimer produced it. Even now.
Oh, yeah.
Armageddon, Thief, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop, Days of Thunder, any Tom Cruise movie he did, he's huge. It used to be Bruckheimer and Simpson. Simpson passed away, and then Bruckheimer kind of went on and continued the whole producing mogul that he is.
Yes.
But he does everything. So I'll run through the cast, and then we'll get to why Butler hates everything. Johnny Depp plays Tonto. I'm sure everyone knows who Johnny Depp is, but if you didn't know, he started on 21 Jump Street, a TV show. He was on there. He was on the original Nightmare on Elm Street. He's also in the Pirates movies. Armie Hammer as John Reid, or the Lone Ranger from The Social Network, The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which is an upcoming episode, and also Call Me By Your Name, the Oscar darling from a couple years ago. William Finkner as Butch Cavendish, Mr. Finkner's from Crash, Armageddon, Contact, Strange Days. We did Strange Days season 3.
We did. Season 3, yep.
Tom Wilkinson as Cole. He's from Michael Clayton. Valkyrie, which we did season 1.
Season 1, Valkyrie, yeah.
And Batman Begins. Again, I give you just a couple movies
I
they've
like
done.
how all of our movies are starting to, some of our forgotten movies are really peppering in there.
I purposely try to find those movies.
That's good.
Ruth Wilson plays Rebecca Reed. She is from probably more recently The Affair on Showtime, Anna Karenina, and Saving Mr. Banks.
She can currently be seen on His Dark Materials on HBO.
I noticed that as well, but I figured you'd bring that up.
And Luther, which
I know I never watched Luther.
She's really good in Luther, and Luther is a really good show. It's a BBC show, but you can find it in America.
It's a bit long. Helen Bonham Carter as Red Harrington. She's from Fight Club, Sweeney Todd, Harry Potter series. She plays who does she play? I'm blanking on the name.
Bellatrix.
Yes.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
Sorry, I kept blanking on the name. And she's in the TV show The Crown this past season. I believe the next season. James Badge Dale as Dan Reed from the Pacific TV series on HBO. 13 Hours, The Gray. Barry Pepper as Fuller, Saving Private Ryan, Crawl, Battlefield Earth. Do not see that movie. Then this is my note. James Frain's in this movie, and I'm like, why? Like, he's in it 2 scenes and that's it. Why are you doing this movie? I wonder if he has like tons of stuff that were cut. And then Stephen Root as Haberman, and the only reason I have Stephen Root because he's Jimmy James, the Man So Nice, Named Twice from News Radio TV show. Did you ever watch News Radio?
I've watched episodes.
Yeah,
I mean, he's also
fantastic.
Milton in Office Space, which is where most people know him.
That's fantastic.
And he's currently on Barry, which
but
is
News
really
Radio
good.
News Radio is really good.
So is Barry.
News Radio is really good.
I know you don't like Barry.
It's not that I don't like Barry. It's just that you know my issues with Barry. It's a good. I'll still watch it. It's not as perfect as everyone keeps saying it is. I'm just saying. Stop giving and not everything's the best of everything.
You're right. You can also get Lone Rangers.
Right. So tell me why you didn't like this fucking movie. All right. So tell me what you didn't like about it, and then I will tell you whether I agree with you.
All right. First of all, let me start by saying I actually like this movie, but it's got a lot of problems. I don't get why everybody dunks on it so much. It's like it's not that bad, but there are a lot of issues. And I get why people have issues with it. First of all, it is far too freaking long.
Well, what are you cutting then? Tell me what you're cutting.
There are so many scenes that are repetitive with Reid's constant comments to Tonto about, I'm not going to kill him. I'm not going to kill him.
You're talking about, okay, you're talking about Lone Ranger Reid.
You need like one instance of that. I'm good. The Tom Wilkinson stuff, it's like, he's bad. It's a little overdone. The constant reveals when you already know things, just cut that out. Pare that down. I know originally this was actually like a 3.5 hour movie. We had werewolves in it and stuff.
Well, no, they didn't shoot any of that. That was the original concept when Columbia Pictures announced that they were doing it in 2002. The original script was more supernatural, had werewolves and coyotes and all that nonsense in there. Yes, but that wasn't in. They didn't shoot any of that.
No, but Gore Verbinski wanted it, and they had to pare down the budget, and they pared down the script because of that.
Columbia also wanted to have Tonto be a female and be his love interest in the movie.
Ooh.
No, no, ridiculous. I don't mind if the Tonto was a female, but they don't have to be a love interest. Okay? No. Go ahead, keep going. What are you cutting though? But what are you cutting?
I told you, you can cut a lot of the stuff about him going, I'm not going to kill him. I'm not. Just so much. You can cut almost the entirety of the scene where they go into the whorehouse.
Okay,
cut that town out. That's unnecessary. I mean, yeah, you get some fun stuff with the horse drinking beer.
But then you're cutting. But then that's fine. But then you can't use Helena Bonham Carter's character at all.
All right.
But she comes into play later on.
What?
That's what she does.
Does she do?
She starts the diversion so that they can get on the train.
They could have started their own diversion. They've got a ton of nitroglycerin and dynamite. They could have set something up in a horse ring. All right, it's gone.
So you're basically saying, Helena Bonham Carter, we don't need you anymore. We're cutting you out. See you later. We don't need you.
Essentially, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you really need Barry Pepper's character. Well, to be as much of a front focus, like, okay,
but you have to understand but they are cutting through Comanche territory to make the train. So you have to at some point include the cavalry.
No, I get having the cavalry in there, but then including him in the conspiracy just to add another layer to the conspiracy is just like, you don't need that. They don't need to know what they're doing. I'm okay with them just being there and causing the issue or unfortunately being there. Like that whole thing with Barry Pepper can be cut. And I like Barry Pepper, but then you're going to lose the ending, because the best part of this movie is the 8.5-10 minute scene at the end with the train fight. I don't disagree.
And you need Pepper in that because he fights him.
I know.
So I get that.
You could have had another strong man.
You can, but then you're not having somebody that's kind of a supporting / main bad guy character. You're having just some dude that he's fighting. You know what I mean? Like, he's not fighting somebody that's you want to see him best.
You can always have a stooge that Wilkinson's been using while his brother's been out eating people, apparently.
Well, that's not his brother. That's just his brother from the desert. That's what he said. It's not. They are brothers because they discovered it together. They're not brothers.
Mm-hmm.
He says brothers born in the desert. That's what he says.
He does say that. Okay.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
He's basically linked to him because this is their plan.
Both know the plan.
Right.
Yeah,
this is their plan. Yes.
But I don't know. I think if he had just a big stooge, you could have had the same, like a Jaws from James Bond kind of a dude. Or like we just watched Birds of Prey, which is going to be dated now because this episode is going to come out way after that. But like Victor Zsasz to Black Mask, somebody who's close to the bad guy, who that way you don't have to have this whole other plot line kind of wrap around.
That's Fuller.
See, I think he's maybe his own little plot line, which I don't necessarily know.
Barry Pepper is overacting a lot in this movie.
Oh, I love when he's yelling.
Yeah.
And the spit's coming out and sticking to his beard when he's having them gun down the Comanches. But
you want to cut all that out.
I do want to cut all that out. Because it's the movie's too long, and I feel like maybe that's something that would save it from itself.
Yeah, but
it's very overindulgent.
The thing with the cavalry, though, is you have to have the stuff in there about how basically the white man took the territory from the Comanche, how just the back and forth between the Comanche and, the white men coming in and doing whatever they will as white men do, so you have to have that because that's a part of history.
Right.
I think that this movie, I understand your complaint. I'm just going to say, I think why it's a lot of that stuff is in there because you cannot have a movie like this without referencing the atrocities,
the injustice
that's going on back then. Yes.
But a lot of that whole cavalry scene comes before really Barry Pepper comes into play in terms of finding out that the conspiracy's on, turning the tables on Reid, aka the Lone Ranger.
But that's also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Like you can still have the cavalry stuff and just, you don't need that face turning around and joining the bad guys and creating another layer to their conspiracy.
And I will argue that you do because Reid we keep seeing Reid. It's the Lone Ranger. I know that's fine.
Yeah.
he brings Cavendish to justice because but then he finds out that Cole is bad. So the one person that's supposed to be the government, which is Barry Pepper's character, is supposed to be on the side of justice. And when he turns, that's what pushes him to become like, well, I need to be an outlaw. Right. So yeah, that's right. That's right, Butler. One down. But that's why he's there, I think, because he's supposed to represent.
I get that. And I do like his transition into Lone Ranger. Again, I don't hate this movie. Especially the second time around, I watched it with the eye of, because when we first watched it, I know you really liked it.
I did.
When I watched it the first time, I liked it. I didn't like it as much as you did, but it's like Tomorrowland. Like you just really liked it. It was something that I was like, no, it was good. This time I was watching it to see why. I think I watched it with more of a critical eye, because I wanted to see what people didn't like about it. Not to say that I still think the humor is really good.
I think their chemistry is fantastic.
Their chemistry is great. I think the horse still was amazing. I don't think you need the opening. I don't think you need the bookends of Tonto.
That's one thing I'll say is I don't. While I understand, like some of the stuff within the bookends is funny, is cute. You know, they kind of blend reality, and
it's very Disney. So maybe that's why.
Maybe, but like when the kid comes up, because the kid's name is Will. It's supposed to be Will. I think he's supposed to be not Will Rogers, right? No,
is he? That'd be fun.
I wonder. When he comes up and he trades him with that mouse for his yes. And then he's telling the story. And then when he's burying the bodies and he makes the trade for the whatever he's making the trade for, he actually uses the same bag that he got from the kid as the trade.
Yeah.
So they blend that, and that stuff I don't mind that.
It's clever, but I don't know if it's necessary. I don't
when he's telling the story, I don't understand it. I don't think you need it. I don't. So that's fine. If that went, that would be fine. And then you're going to miss out on all the other stuff, but that's okay. I didn't get that. I was always like, that's all right. I don't mind it. Whatever. It is what it is, I guess. We should say that it looks gorgeous, and they shot at Monument Valley. Like they shot in Utah and Arizona, which was, a favorite filming location of John Ford. So there's a lot of stuff in this movie that are homages to Ford and homages to old Westerns like that. The cinematographer shot 70% of the movie is daytime exteriors, and he shot that on 35 millimeter, and anything that was an interior or a nighttime exterior, he shot digitally, which I thought was interesting that they blend it. But it looks, there's some, when they're walking in the beginning, when they're going into the canyon, the stuff on the mountain, any kind of stuff, it's beautiful.
Gore Verbinski has like a really good eye for his cinematography.
He's a very good director.
He's a very good director. Pirates was the same way. When Pirates first came out, it was like, it looked really interesting. He created this very interesting world with very good shots, a really cinematic look to it, which I think is partly why the fourth and fifth Pirates don't really hold up, because they don't have that eye for that world.
There's also something about, squeezing a stone to try to get more water out of, enough.
That's true. Yes.
We're done with the Pirates. Please be done with the Pirates. We're done, right? The first one's great. I don't mind all three. The first three, they're fine. Then they complete the story. We don't need more. We're good.
Well, they're already rebooting.
I know they are, but I'm just saying we're good. What else didn't you like, brother?
Let me go into my.
Tell me else. But I think people crapped on this movie because, number one, I'm not saying anything. It's not already out there, because it had such a big budget, because they had some problems, production problems. I think people wanted to not like this movie.
I can see that.
And because you had movies like The Wild Wild West that came out that weren't good, that didn't perform well. You had a couple other Westerns that just, what was the Jonah Hex one that didn't do well? Ugh. I think people just expected this movie to be terrible, and and there was some controversy about Johnny Depp playing a Comanche, and he had said that his grandmother was part Comanche. He thought a Native American, and he wanted to correct the wrongs. I didn't think it was disrespectful, him playing it. Whatever. If you don't like it that way, that's fine. I think that was part of it as well. I think people just didn't want to like the movie. And when the movie came out, they couldn't admit that it was okay. It was at least, it's not, I will say this, you don't like the movie, fine. It's not as awful as people keep saying.
Not at all.
It's not a complete train wreck. It didn't deserve to be a box office bomb. It's a good flick. You don't like it, fine. But if you like old Westerns and you like adventures, it's got a lot of awesome action in it. The whole opening train scene is awesome. The end train scene is awesome. I mean, how do you not get excited when the music kicks on at the end? After he whips the gun and shoots around, and the music's just playing, you're like, yeah.
I don't think anybody doesn't like the end. I think they don't like everything in the middle. It's bloated. And people don't want to sit through a movie like that for this long.
Sure.
You want to be Avengers and do that? That's fine. These people have been watching 21 movies to get there. I also think we talked about it before. Westerns are your grandfather's genre, really.
Sure.
And again, Westerns now, it's tough for people to remember them. People like them. They're really well made, the good ones. And what's nice is new Westerns kind of show more, I think, reality.
They're more dirty.
They're a little more dirty.
More bad things that happen to good people.
Yes. But that's not the genre of the time right now. And I think that hurts it too. So when you throw $250 million, you're taking a big risk.
Mhm.
And I think maybe this movie could have done better with a smaller budget. I think maybe. And I know you're going to lose the train sequences, at least one of them, to cut down some of the budget. But I think it would have helped this movie to have a smaller budget.
But here's the thing, though. Everyone deferred, like Verbinski, Hammer, Depp. I can't remember someone else. They deferred 20% of their fee to help this movie move forward. So they were cutting
How much
costs.
is Hammer asking for at this point?
Well,
He's
it's probably not a lot.
Yeah.
Well, but if Johnny Depp's going to do it, you're going to do it too.
Like just to look good, yeah.
Well, Depp, this
You're
is the
still
first.
getting a big
This is
paycheck.
the first time that a Lone Ranger movie or TV show. It's the main. I shouldn't say the main credit. The higher credited star is Tonto. But like, who cares? It's Johnny Depp. That's why you're going to see it.
Yep.
Quentin Tarantino didn't think it was forgotten. It's on his top 10 list of 2013.
That's great for Quentin
Yeah,
Tarantino.
QT baby.
All right.
He knows what's up. He knows what's up.
Quentin Tarantino also likes the Marvel films, Mike.
All of them.
Yeah.
Listen,
Nowadays.
they're fine. Why do I get the shot? It's not like I don't like them. They're fine. Really? Did I walk out of them like I walked out of the Heat?
No, I mean,
So clearly, no, I do not like them.
walking out.
That's
of the
not
movie is a
English.
little extreme. I'm done pooping on this movie. I don't want to poop on it anymore.
No. I
There are
want you to
things
keep
I like
pooping.
about
Keep
this
pooping
movie.
on it. Good.
All right.
Come on.
Here's one more thing I didn't like. The whole Tonto's craziness. I like his weird zaniness most of the time, but his cat thing really pissed me off.
What, that
It's
he is
just
afraid of
dumb.
him?
He's afraid of the cat, and then he hides the freaking face in the cage. Fear of cat. Stop it. Just stop. No, it did not work. Cut that out.
Okay, that's fine.
I don't
That
know
was
why.
only the one time.
I guess I don't remember that bothering me the first time, but that's something like, this is freaking stupid.
Was that from the TV show? I have no idea.
I don't know. But
Maybe that was just that was only that one scene though, right? It wasn't everywhere.
it was
wasn't
only the
any-
one scene. Maybe
Yeah.
if he did it more, it would have been better
Mhm.
because, okay, he really does have a fear of cats, but it's
Mhm.
like, we're cat. No. And he hides. I do like when Reid is brought to the Comanche tribe elders and he's sitting there and he talks to him and he's trying to go, spirit walker.
Yeah,
And then he tries to drink the drink
because he
because he steals him. Custom. It's a compliment. He goes, why are you wearing the mask? Tano teach you this? Why are you laughing? Because it's funny.
There's a lot of humor in this movie.
Yeah.
Because he talks about how I haven't shot a gun in 9 years.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be also a reference to the fact that the last time the Lone Ranger was on screen was 9 years ago when they were making the movie. So I thought that was interesting. But when he shoots it and it ricochets off him and then drops and then Todd like, great shot. And he's,
That was actually supposed to be a warning
yeah,
shot.
that's so good.
Bad shot. When he looks up at the crow, he shot half the crow's head off.
Yeah.
Well, nothing. No, not him. Wrong. This brother. Him have half wet brain. The horse is one of the best.
Oh, when he's trying to get, he doesn't want
Doesn't want him to
resurrect him.
resurrect him.
Yeah. Okay, so you've crapped all over it. What else did you like? Like what stood out, I guess, most for you? Was it the action scenes?
The action scenes are great. I mean, the horse is great.
The digital buffalo? I like that. I had the note when they're on the train at the beginning because the buffaloes were like, oh, digital buffalo look beautiful this time of year.
I don't think they did enough with Reed's connection to the spirit world.
Okay.
With his flashes that he gets in his mind.
When he grabs the silver.
When he grabs the silver when he first wakes up after being resurrected.
Mm-hmm.
He sees pieces of the past and future, but he never really uses that.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't understand why that was in it. If it maybe in an original script, maybe it had more to do with the film.
I mean,
It just never comes back.
You can kind of, when he shoots the gun off out of Cole's hand at the end because of the one bullet.
He
I mean,
uses
there's
the
stuff
power.
like that.
I mean,
Yeah.
He can't be killed.
Right. But you could be wounded. Yeah.
He gets shot in the dark. It's really dark outside. Can't be killed. You said I can't get shot. No, I said you can't be killed. Is that thing sterile? Yes. I made urine on it. I like when he's talking to the horse, but I cannot decide whether this horse is stupid or just pretending to be stupid.
Did you like Fichter's portrayal of Butch Cavendish?
I like Fichter in everything.
Okay, but
I
he's
think
really
good. He's really evil.
He's almost like an R-rated villain, but like he's in a PG-13 movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When he licks the blood off his own knife.
He eats the guy's heart.
Yep.
He eats the brother's heart. Like, I guess there was more of that and they kind of cut it out.
Well, it doesn't look like he stabs the heart. It looks like he's stabbing it.
He's stuck, but I think he reaches. Well, the thing is, you're not going to go through
the chest cavity. Yeah.
Because that's different. You're going to cut and then reach your hand up and pull it out.
So maybe some
not
of that was
not that I've been experienced with this.
I feel like the jackrabbits are part of, or I guess the regular rabbits don't have horns.
Nature out of balance.
The nature out of balance thing. I feel like that's part of the original script, like the werewolves and the supernatural element. I think that's where that came into play.
Mm-hmm.
Because that just comes out of nowhere and you're just like, what the hell is going on?
When they throws the meat of the rabbit at him.
Yeah, and they eat it.
Yeah.
I do like when lightning starts eating the scorpions.
Oh, right. Well, he doesn't call him lightning till the end. No, he calls him silver.
Silver. I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm calling him lightning.
Lightning from another.
Lightning Zorro's horse.
Which was an episode we did.
we already pimped that.
Damn it. Sorry. Apologies.
Although believe in the 50s or 40s, the Lone Ranger and Zorro did team up in a movie.
Of course they did.
Or TV episode.
Oh, well, what are we waiting for here? Because I know that one of the notes was to make this movie like The Mask of Zorro, to kind of mimic that swashbuckling adventure type of thing. And this is a very dark. This is an adventure, but it's dark. It's a dark adventure. There's
some darkness in Mask of Zorro, and I think not quite as much.
No. I got you.
Yeah.
But for the Lone Ranger, that probably is why it's a longer movie. And I think I already touched on it before. Was it's trying to not make a glossy Lone Ranger movie. It's trying to make it realistic and just, like I said, recognize what really is happening at this time.
Right.
So I that's probably what makes it a little bit bigger. Like there's that part when he's walking Cavendish to basically Cole and all of them, and Cole's saying a prayer as they're sitting there, and the prayers, it's almost like a montage or across dissolve of prayer and him walking along the desert. Yeah. So, I mean, there's stuff like that they try to kind of keep in there. So,
but you see, I think there was some darkness and realism in Mask of Zorro in terms of how the rich abuse the Californians. And yet that movie was still just, a tight 2 hours. And I think maybe that's Martin Campbell's direction, his need for speed, his need to get the story going.
The plot of the villains in Lone Ranger is a little bit bigger, and you have two different villains. You have Cavendish and Cole, and they're teamed up, but they're doing two different things. You have to address two different things.
One just wants to be rich, and one wants to rule the world.
Right. But you have to kind of go back and forth, and you have to have the Lone Ranger go back and forth, and whoever's with Cole,
because they're split villains. That's why it's longer.
It adds more to it. With the Mask of Zorro, you have one villain. It's one person. It's one goal. It's right there. That's probably why you're able to. It's just and that's again. Could you
they both
fix that in Lone Ranger?
They're both going to mine for a certain element to buy somebody else to own some land.
Of course,
in the West.
Well, that's probably a big thing out there. Back in the day.
Now that I'm thinking of it,
I do like the fact that they had to build this giant oval track for the train stuff. For the train sequences.
So they built their own track.
They had a huge track that they had to keep going around and just to shoot everything. And obviously it's all on green screen because there's, but let's talk about the ending. Let's talk about the big ending, the whole entire train fight and sequence and stuff like that. Give me one thing out of that jumped out at you. The music is obviously a given. It's fantastic. It adds to it. It's great. I love it. What did you like in it? And what jumped out at you towards the end?
What jumped out at me about that train sequence is there's a lot going on. And we're following a lot of characters, but it never, and this is to speak for Gore Verbinski and his direction, it never got confusing. I always knew where everybody was on the track, or where the track was going. I understood where the characters were in relation to the train. And I understood, Tonto is here now. Is he going to get the Lone Ranger? No, because he's down on these tracks. Other than maybe the bridge coming into play and you're like, oh, I forgot about the bridge.
Right.
For the most part, a lot of modern directors will cut the crap out of that.
Yes.
Cut. And it becomes very confusing. And you just flashed with shots of like, he just smacked him. No, he smacked him. And it's just, this action was smooth, but still cut quite often because you have 5 or 6 characters at this time. You have Danny, the Lone Ranger's nephew. You have Ruth Wilson's character. You have Tom Wilkinson. You have William Fichtner. You have Tonto. And you have the Lone Ranger. So yeah, 6 characters.
Barry Pepper. Did you say Pepper already? Fuller?
Oh, no, I didn't. Yeah. So that's 7. So you have 7
and
characters
and 2 trains.
Yeah. And 2 different trains going in 2 different directions.
Yeah.
and you never get confused as to who's doing what and where these trains are in relation to each other. That's what really stuck out to me. This time I was like, wow, that's really well done.
I think when directors go to quick cuts, one shots, that's for a variety of reasons. One, let's just shoot coverage. We got to get coverage because we don't know how the wides are going to be.
Yeah.
Whatever. The other reason is because they're not strong. They don't know they don't have the confidence to set up a big shot like that, to set up moving parts, to work the camera organically into the story, which I talk about a lot of times with Spielberg. Granted, now this is the part of the reason why this budget is so big is it's special effects driven. There's a lot of digital. There's this whole train sequence.
Train sequences are what ruin the budget.
And I'm not saying in terms of the organic storytelling of that, in terms of, how do you do that? Well, you're obviously not there. It's phony. I get that.
Yeah.
But like you said, there's wide shots, there's setups, there's big shots, there's stuff like that. Like that's Verbinski being a director who is confident that he can do it, knows, is probably meticulous. I don't even have to, I'm guessing, probably meticulous, organized, knows what he wants, and says like, this is what I want the shot to look like. And, that's not being stubborn. This is what I want. And if there's problems, you can't do it, we need to adapt to that. Sure, no problem. But there are a lot of directors, there are a lot of people out there that direct and they don't know what they're doing. And they just kind of covered up with coverages and quick shots and stuff like that. The big shots, the one shots, the long shots, that kind of stuff. That's classic directing style. That's a classic director. That's John Ford. That's John Huston. That's old time directing, but it's still awesome. I love that. I love one shots. Yes. I love one shots. And because I love seeing the action played out, I'm going off on a tangent. But part of the reasons why I love one shots is you can watch a one shot. You can watch a movie over and over and over again, and you can find something new in a long shot because there's different things going on in there.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely.
Like I haven't watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood since we watched it together. Right. And I want to see it again because there are a lot of shots in there that I'm like, I probably have missed stuff.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because he does a lot of long shots like that. So Verbinski is probably to bring it back to Lone Ranger, is somebody who's very confident in what he can do. And it shows on screen. And that whole sequence is just, like you said, it flows extremely well. It all blends together.
Yeah, that's months and months of pre-planning, that one sequence. And that is probably filming your shot, going at night to edit that shot and see how it flows based on probably a roadmap he drew up. And I think a lot of directors now just don't want to put that kind of work in. Not that they're lazy, but that they don't want to spend, and I get it. You get out of work, you don't want to go back to work, but sometimes you need to create complex sequences like that. Like I know that when Game of Thrones kind of gets crap for the episode Battle for Winterfell or whatever that ended up calling.
Oh, the big one where it's all dark?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that the director would go home at the end of the night and start putting that sequence together so that it kind of flowed, so you kind of knew where everybody was, which the complaint most people didn't, but I always thought it flowed well. But, a big sequence like that requires you to go home and edit and figure out where your people are at the end of the night, at least a rough cut, so that you can track your sequence so people aren't confused. And a lot of directors just go, okay, and they get their shots at the end and they just shot it all. They didn't spend that time. They go, let's do quick cuts, because if the audience doesn't know where they are, it doesn't matter that we don't know where they are.
And those quick cuts probably come from the editor.
Because the editor probably doesn't know where they are.
Well, the director's probably like, I don't know what to do. And the editor's like, I'll try something.
And the editor should be there. Or maybe not there on set, but should be getting those dailies so that they have time to really plan out that sequence, or get your pre-production notes, or get your drawings, or your, and this is the thing I have problems with whenever I'm creating a script is storyboards or the shot list. I'm terrible at that.
Well, you don't have to be a good drawer to just draw stick figures, as long as you know how to, as long as you can explain it.
The thing is, a sequence like that, I'm sure you have to hire somebody to really draw basically a comic book. Yeah. Frame by frame. This is what I want. You have to have that sequence in your brain to really know where everything is. And that was really impressive to me. Well,
Steven Soderbergh he'll direct on the way home from this, in the car. So when he was doing the Nick, which is a show I really liked that was on AMC for only 2 seasons, actually 3.
I think it was 3
seasons. He would edit on the way home in the car, and it's like, who's doing that? Nobody. And that's why Steven Soderbergh is a really good director.
I was gonna say, isn't he known for getting everything done really quick?
Yeah. Because he's really good.
He's one of those guys that are just a one and done take guy, right?
Fine with me. Clint Eastwood's like that. Listen, if I go over, I've said this before, I think on this podcast, but if I go over 5 takes, there's something wrong. There's something wrong, whether it's just not working because the shot's not set up, or I didn't explain what I'm looking for, or I'm just not, something's missing. It shouldn't take more than five takes. That's not a hard and fast number, but at some point you're just like, I'm not Fincher. I can't do 40 takes.
Stanley Kubrick also disagreed.
Yeah, and that's fine, and that works for them, and that's fine, and God, good. But I'm not that type of person.
Yeah.
I'm not that kind of director. Because then I would just get bored on set. It wouldn't be exciting. It would be like, enough, But that's me. That's me.
So you kept asking me about what really stood out for you in the train sequence?
Like I said, the flow. I think the music, which I said we can't say, but it's good action. Like I forgot how much I liked the opening train scene. Like, because every time it's on, if it's on Stars or HBO and I flip it on, it's always towards the end. So I'll just kind of watch it towards the end.
Yeah.
But you forget that the opening train scene is good too. Yeah. And it's got some nice action in there as well. So just the action of it, the adventure, like I said, the music again, the
music is cool.
The
They
flow.
don't even hint at it until the end. It's like you've earned it now. Here you go.
Yeah.
It's like that. Usually in a movie like that, they would kind of go.
Yeah.
And like this, there's a whole other theme that plays throughout the film, which is great.
Yeah.
But then at the end, you get
the
Lone Ranger.
overture. You get the overture in the beginning as well before they rob the bank. They have it like, you do, and that's fine because I'm like, you have to have it. You have to have it in the beginning. I don't see. I know what you're saying. Like you're waiting for that music to come,
right?
But I think if it's so iconic, you'd like to put it in the beginning,
so that people know. Okay,
right?
Lone Ranger.
We're not going to try to be. We're not revisit. We're not changing it. We're not revamping it. So yeah. So the other thing I enjoy was like how the fight between Tonto and Fuller, which is the Barry Pepper character, and then Cavendish and the Lone Ranger kind of end where they both slam into each other. And so how they set that all up.
Oh yeah.
Granted, I would probably break my leg if I jumped 30 feet down to a.
I was thinking the same thing. That's
the silver. Yeah, I just thought that. He's like, "What are you doing here? Where's the train?" He sees it. And he's just like, "Oh."
Silver really broke my fall.
Yeah, that was. I was just like, "Oh, I would have been hurt."
Oh yeah, he's Tonto. The spirits helped him. There's got to be something you didn't like about the movie.
I told you, like the Tonto stuff, the telling of the story, I never was a big fan of. Okay. Even though it kind of it fits in and it flows a little bit, and there's some funny stuff when he's like, what about the bridge? He's like, what bridge? And then they go back to it. That's great because the music kicks up again. So, but I do understand that it was a little like, okay. I don't. If that was not in the movie, I would be okay. It is. I said it's long, but I'm trying to think. What can you cut? What can you cut reasonable that doesn't make it feel like it's a cut up movie? That's my problem. Like, I don't mind. You want to cut it, sure, but a lot of times when you watch movies and we're like, oh, this movie's 2 hours, it sounds like they feel like they cut a lot out here. Like you miss stuff, and I don't want a movie to be cut because we just want to get under time, but you don't cut it and you've let dangling plot lines and stuff doesn't make any sense anymore, and it would just feel like it would ramp up. Like there's a lead up to that action scene that you get for like 2 hours, that if you had the action scene in the beginning and then you had the stuff in the middle when they go off into to get the outlaws and they get kind of like that little gunfight, and then you had the stuff with, because they do have another beat at the barn. I just think that they might have been too close together, and it would have just felt like a straight action piece. Again, I'm not saying I know the answer to what you cut, but I'm saying don't cut just to get to a certain time unless you're going to cut and you need to make sure that the story still resembles what you wanted to tell. That's all my thing. That's it. I mean, we did a movie this season, Meet Joe Black, where it was 3 hours long, and I didn't mind that.
No, because it doesn't feel that way.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I think Lone Ranger does at times start to feel
sure
at about the halfway mark. The movie does start to feel like a 3 hour movie, even though it's not 3 hours. I found myself about halfway going, how much longer is this film? I feel like maybe the plot's just maybe a little too convoluted, that there was an easier way to get there. And again, also maybe I don't know what to cut. But
again, I don't, yeah, it's, I
don't know.
I understand the criticism of it being long. It feels too long. What do you cut? I understand that criticism. I do not understand the criticism that it's a piece of shit.
No,
because that's
it's not
nonsense.
Yes,
that's nonsense. This is not a piece of shit film. This is not John Carter from Mars.
I actually didn't mind John Carter from Mars either.
I only said, because to be fair,
on that too.
Yeah, I only said that. I saw that once. So, and I know that movie was probably also kind of already a negative towards it because people expected what they've read are seen already.
Yes.
It's a comic book or it's a graphic novel
based on an old novel.
Okay, old novel, right.
Right.
But they expect something. Kind of like you talked about Game of Thrones and the Battle of Winterfell. Season 8, people wanted something that they didn't get, and I'm sorry, but they're not telling the story. You know what I mean? So that's where the expectation jades your criticism, and that's unfortunate because that's not how it works.
And I'm very interested to see later. I think the big Christmas movie this year is going to be Dune.
Mm-hmm. Well, people will crap on it because it's not the Dune they want.
Yeah, I think that it's going to be, if it's going to be different at all, if it's going to be slightly if they only saw the Kyle MacLachlan David Lynch movie, they're going to be like, well, that's not my Dune. It's or if it's not so close to the novel, people are going to go, that's not my Dune. That's not what Paul Atreides looked like.
Yeah,
they're gonna be mad about it.
I understand that because I don't know how I would react if they remade Indiana Jones. I don't know how I would respond. I'd watch it, but I don't know how I would respond to it. In terms of like,
right. Well, Indiana Jones is more like modern and iconic.
I just don't know.
Whereas Lone Ranger, like their audience for Lone Ranger is not the people that watched Lone Ranger when it came out or the radio shows. The audience is an older generation that just kind of knows of the Lone Ranger. Same with John Carter of Mars. They know of maybe.
I got
John
you.
Carter of Mars.
Okay.
Dune people may know of or just have read the book. This is the first time it's ever been really adapted into a large format movie. Same way Lone Ranger. This is the first big budget Lone Ranger.
Well, but you said the Kyle MacLachlan movie.
That ended up being a pretty big flop.
Okay.
But it is a cult classic film.
So you think there's two different factions that are going to come at this new one.
Films based on something else that are kind of in the pop culture zeitgeist, I think have a group, like you said, that are just waiting in the wings to just throw vitriol at it.
Yeah.
And unfortunately,
I hate that.
The smallest voices, they're usually the loudest voices.
You know why though? That's because the people that are like the sensible people just don't want to bother.
Yeah.
And honestly, maybe it's time that the sensible people stand up and say like, shut up. We're going to go down a tangent. I don't want to go down.
No.
Toxicity of fandom. And
I think we've already brought that up on an episode before.
Just be a fan. If you don't like it, you don't like it. It's a subjective art. It's fine. But The Lone Ranger is not a piece of, this movie is not a piece of crap. Even though Butler and I were kind of fighting a little, but we weren't. But we're,
Yeah.
We're being visited by my dog right now. My dog, by the way, is a golden retriever named Indiana. You're welcome.
Nice.
So, but it's not a bad movie. It's a good movie. It might be too long, like Mike says. There might be stuff you don't like in it, but it's got some great stuff in it, and you shouldn't just discount it because I don't know, people told you to.
Basically, yeah. I think that's why it's like people were like, it's not good. You see what the critics have said.
Yeah,
I heard it blew half its budget. I heard it went over budget.
Exactly.
It's like, oh,
did you watch it?
Did you see all the stuff about Johnny Depp being a Native American?
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's not a Native American. So they probably didn't even know he was part Native American.
True. Now, not that I don't want to compare the two, but like I'm trying to think of a big budget movie like Avatar. Okay. Yeah. Now, do you think this is better than Avatar?
I only saw Avatar the one time.
Okay, I guess fine.
So it's tough. It's like that was a long time ago. I remember going out of Avatar going, that was really cool. But yeah, the story's crap.
Yes.
But it was a cool movie. Lone Ranger has a decent story. It's just too convoluted.
Well,
I didn't think coming out of Avatar, I didn't go, that was way too long. Although James Cameron does make long movies.
Well, what about the action?
Yeah, that's the thing about Avatar I remember liking.
Well, how about this? How about this statement? Let me say that Avatar is not as good as people say it is, just as The Lone Ranger isn't as bad as people say it is.
Sure.
Okay.
I'm okay with that.
All right. I can say that. That's my big thing. I always say this, and my buddy always brings it up to me, is I've always said that Top Gun is overrated and Days of Thunder is underrated. Because Days of Thunder is really good.
Days of Thunder is okay.
No, it's better than people think it is. Even though there is a flub in there which she calls him Tom, but still. She's like, thanks, Tom. I'm like, what? That's not his name. You didn't cut that out.
No, I like it. Shows how much they care for each other.
So anyways, now that we've started talking about Avatar and Days of Thunder and Top Gun.
Watch Top Gun Maverick coming soon.
This is usually the indication that the episode's wrapping up. So we will be back. We'll be back next week. We're actually going to do something a little different. Mike, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we are doing the 1955 film Night of the Hunter.
This is your pick?
This is my pick. And also...
What?
You've never seen this before.
I've never seen it.
I'm very excited. There's very rare where I can show Field a movie that he has never seen.
I can't wait to shit on it for no reason. somebody down the street told me this movie sucks, so I hate it.
No one tells you this movie sucks.
I'm just kidding.
It's usually regarded as a classic. Although when it came out, everyone did dunk on it.
Of course.
So maybe in 50 years, somebody will like
Forgotten Cinema.
Someone will like Lone Ranger.
Oh no, they should like it now. So give it a shot. Give Lone Ranger a shot. It's really good. And if you like good action, if you like westerns, it's a good movie. And it's got a great soundtrack. Like Mike said, Hans Zimmer does a really good job.
Also, I kind of feel bad for Armie Hammer because I feel like he gets his stars started to rise now, but back then
I've liked Armie Hammer.
Oh no, he didn't get Batman. Oh, Lone Ranger stunk. And it was like he was kind of like very much like the star of John Carter of Mars.
Yes.
He's box office poison.
Yeah, he's I think people think he's wooden or stilted, but I think that because he's tall. I mean, that's fine. People didn't like him in Call Me by Your Name.
Some people.
Hey,
people didn't like him in Call Me by Your Name.
A couple of people I talked to didn't really enjoy him in there. But to be fair, while it is his performance was the one that everyone was lauding, it was
Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah, and that's fine. But he's good in the movie, and he's going to be in a sequel. And it's a good movie.
I forgot they were making a sequel.
Yeah, right. Well, because the book, there's 2 books or something like 3 books, something like that.
That's fine.
So yeah, no. And my favorite part, I'm going to bring this up. My favorite part of Call Me by Your Name, not my favorite part of Call Me by Your Name, which you could probably guess what it is. But I always, because my buddy Adrian's a cinematographer and he was talking about camera stuff. Like, go, yo, they shot with one lens on this thing. They shot with one lens, and he's just like, shut up. I'm like, I'm just saying they shot with one lens. So, but it's a good movie, and I like Hammer in Social Network. He's good in that. I like him in The Man from U.N.C.L.E., which we're gonna do in a couple weeks.
Man from U.N.C.L.E. is another really good.
Yeah, that's a movie that I think people kind of slept on, and
yeah, I feel like it didn't get hated on, but I feel like nobody watched it.
I think everyone knows Henry Cavill from Superman, but I know him from The Tudors. And he was good in The Tudors, yes. And I remember when he was in Superman, like, oh, good. And, what are you going to do when you do, you do a different role, I think. I don't know. I don't think he's better in The Tudors probably because of what he's allowed to do more, maybe acting wise or choice wise,
He's good in The Witcher.
Yeah. I haven't watched Witcher, so I don't know.
I mean, he's in The Witcher. When you're Superman, you can only do so much. You're a role model. You got to play that role.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you play morally gray characters, much like his character in Man from U.N.C.L.E., and we're kind of going into the future
it's time to wrap it up.
You're allowed to do more.
Yeah.
Which maybe is Armie Hammer just needed more roles like that where he can do more. He needs more roles where he can do more, where he has more to play with.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that will be in a couple weeks, but next week, Night of the Hunter, as Mike said, so it'll be my first time watching. Mike's excited. Well, hopefully we can find it somewhere. I'm sure it's somewhere. I've not looked. What are you staring at me for?
It's got to be on the Criterion Collection, I think.
We'll find it. We'll find it. We'll watch it. And then we'll talk about it. All right. So thanks, everyone. I don't know. Rate us, review us. Tell us we're doing a good job or something. Or yell at Michael for not liking Lone Ranger. I'm just joking.
Feel free. Don't forget, you can always suggest stuff to us. Go to ForgottenCinemaPodcast.com. We have a contact page there, or we're on the social medias at Forgotten Cinema Pod. You find us on.
Thanks, Indy.
Nice. Indy agrees. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Let us know what movies you want us to review, or maybe tell us we're wrong and Lone Ranger is a piece of crap. We don't mind engaging in conversation.
Absolutely not. It's all in good fun. It's like we said before. It's subjective. The conversation and the debate is what makes talking about movies fun.
Yes.
We're not here to, you don't have to convince anyone of anything. You love something, you love it. You hate it. That is fine. We will stop talking to you, but that is fine. I'm just kidding. All right, everyone. I'm Mike Field.
I'm Mike Butler.
And this has been Forgotten Cinema. Thanks, Indy.
Hi ho, Silver.
Away!